Hey everybody, it's Paul Gerke with Factor This, joined by Renata Bakousseva, Principal Project Lead at one of our favorite utilities, PG&E. Going to send a heavy presence to DTECH at the end of the month. Renata, I know you've been heavily involved in the DTECH program. Do you want to share a little bit about what utilities are talking about in California right now?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Paul. Really excited to be here. So, as you said, I'm a project lead for PG&E. I work with our microgrid strategy and implementation team. And here in California, climate resilience is a really big topic. And so our team is tasked with a very mission critical goal of delivering resilient energy solutions that keep our communities powered throughout the many different types of outages we have, including wildfires, winter storms, and other climate driven outages. And so the work is really personal for me because I've led our public safety power shutoff program office. I've interacted with customers impacted by outages like PSPS. And so I see firsthand just how critical it is for our grid to be resilient to the many different outages that we experience, not just in California, but across all the states. And so I think climate resilience is a really big topic. It's definitely not something we can do alone. It's not a solo act. And so I'm really looking forward to interacting with other partners in the space and learn more about what they're doing from a climate resilience perspective, and especially around the topic of microgrids.
Yeah, I know that microgrids is your sweet spot, and I know PG&E has done all sorts of innovative things, experimenting with microgrids as a means to make our grid more resilient, especially in some of those far off places that you wouldn't have to run, miles and miles of transmission line to. Can you share a little bit, maybe specifics about what you're working on in that microgrid space?
Yeah, sure. So at PG&E, we use both types of microgrids, community driven, where the community comes to us and they define their resilience need, as well as utility driven, where we identify a resilience need. And so one of the programs we actually just kickstarted in the last couple of years are our community driven microgrid program. And so that's the microgrid incentive program. We partner with tribal nations and rural towns in underserved communities to co-design solutions that reflect their unique resilience needs. So, for example, one of the projects that led up to the development of this program was our Redwood Coast Airport microgrid. In 2022, we launched this first 100% renewable multi-customer community microgrid in Humboldt County, and we partnered with Redwood Coast Energy Authority and the Humboldt County to help identify what the critical resilience needs are for them. In this case, it was a county airport and a Coast Guard air station. And together, we developed a microgrid that provides these critical facilities through different types of outages, including PSPS, winter storms, and earthquake. They actually this microgrid supported that community through an earthquake that happened, I think, a couple of years ago in that area. And so we're actually talking about this at DistribuTech, so I'm really looking forward to sharing our lessons learned about community microgrids. And I know there's at least one other conversation about community microgrids, so I'm looking forward to learning more from those folks as well. And then an example of a utility-driven microgrid, most recently, we are partnering with Energy Vault on a long-duration energy storage microgrid system that can power the entire town of Calistoga for days, not just hours at a time during PSPS outages, which is a really big innovation for us. In the past, we've used diesel generation, but as you know, it's costly and it's not very environmentally friendly. And so this pilot really reimagines how we stabilize the grid during extreme weather conditions for days at a time using clean technology. So this is also another project we're talking about at DistribuTech Wednesday, March 26th at 10 a.m. If you want to come check it out. And there, we're pairing the hydrogen fuel cells with a lithium ion battery to deliver energy services for up to 48 hours at a time. And this can be extended even longer if necessary without any interruption to the customer, which is really novel use case for us.
That sounds like a whole lot. I'm glad that you gave the specific date and time shout outs for DTECH there. Look at you with the schedule memorized, Renata. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
In your experience working in the microgrid space right now, what's something that you've seen just sort of reading or speaking with colleagues that's caught your attention that you're like, hey, there might be a use case for this here at PG&E or in California or maybe in the industry at large?
Yeah, for sure. So like I said, Calistoga is just one of our microgrids. We have more than a dozen distribution microgrids here at PG&E that we've deployed to help frequently impacted communities by keeping what we call Main Street corridors on during PSPS events and serving key community resources like medical facilities, fire and police stations. And we started this program using diesel generation. But again, as I mentioned, it's not a most effective long-term solution for our communities. It's a good temporary solution. So I think there's a really big use case here in terms of how do we convert these temporary distribution microgrids that are powered by diesel into clean energy alternative using clean energy alternatives. And Calistoga is one example. We have other sites as well where we've utilized clean energy in a way where we're combining the diesel generators with inverter-based technology or even leveraging existing on-site generation. I think another interesting topic is around how can microgrids be used from a capacity perspective? Is there a way to use them to offset some really big infrastructure projects that we've got going on? So, for example, in Garberville, which is also in Humboldt County, we deployed a non-wires solution using mobile Tesla megapacks to address capacity constraints on this 49-mile overhead distribution line. If we had to upgrade it, it would have cost more than $100 million. It would have been a very long project that would have taken a lot of years. And the community in the meantime is still dealing with the capacity issue. So through this mobile battery solution, we were able to reduce the cost by tenfold and deploy it within just a couple of years. So I think, a couple of use cases like I said, one to evolve our diesel portfolio to something cleaner, and another use case is how do we use microgrids as a way to address other issues like capacity.
There's a whole lot there, Renata. I know you're also doing a breakfast roundtable talking about something that is really important in California right now, and that's resiliency against wildfires. Could you share a little bit about what you plan to talk about there?
Yeah, for sure. Again, I've been involved in our Emergency Operations Center through both PSPS as well as wildfire events. And so I'm really looking forward to learning more about how other utilities are managing their emergency response, what type of solutions are they providing for their customers, as well as how are they evolving or innovating within the emergency response, inside the EOC, the Emergency Response Center. And I'm also really looking forward to making new friends with the tech world. There's a lot of great innovators like Burnbot and TreeSwift that are really tackling this wildfire issue and developing really transformative solutions that help us tackle wildfire. So looking forward to both sharing lessons learned with other utilities as well as learning more about what's in the innovation space.
Renata, I appreciate the focus on collaboration. I think that that's so crucial in our space right now, and it really speaks to what we're trying to do at DTECH. Speaking of that collaboration, you're done. You're cut free from collaborating with me. I've taken enough of your time. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about what you're working on and sounding so passionate and excited about it. You're getting me thrilled about microgrids, and I'm just a guy in an office somewhere. But anyway, we'll see you out at DTECH. Renata, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Looking forward to it.